Welcome to the channel everyone. Today we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating and mysterious stories in the world of coin collecting, a story that has stunned collectors, historians, and numismatists alike, the tale of the 1980 quarter dollar coin, a simple piece of American currency that somehow transformed into a multi-million-dollar rarity worth an unbelievable $95 million. How could something so ordinary, something so commonly handled by millions of people every day, become an artifact of unimaginable value? The answer lies buried in the world of minting errors, hidden details, and the fascinating imperfections that make this coin so incredibly desirable. Every collector dreams of finding that one coin that changes everything, a discovery that turns a pocket change moment into a life-altering event, and the 1980 quarter has become the dream realized for a lucky few. To understand how this coin rose to such legendary status, we first need to look at its origins. The 1980 quarter was struck at the Denver Mint, one of the key mints in the United States responsible for billions of coins each year. During 1980, the U.S. Mint was operating under immense pressure. The economy was shifting, inflation was rising, and demand for circulating coinage was at an all-time high. As a result, the minting process was fast, intense, and prone to occasional mishaps. Somewhere in that chaos, a handful of 1980 quarters were struck with a combination of minting errors so unique and so visually striking that they immediately became a sensation among collectors. These weren't just your ordinary off-center strikes or double dies. The 1980 quarter featured an extraordinary alignment of mistakes, mistrikes, and anomalies that make each surviving specimen a masterpiece of numismatic curiosity. One of the most talked about errors associated with this coin is the double die obverse, where the inscriptions and images on the front of the coin appear to be doubled due to a misalignment during the striking process. On some examples of the 1980 quarter, collectors can clearly see a doubling in the word Liberty, and even the year 1980 seems to have a ghostly shadow effect, making it appear as though it were stamped twice. This kind of error instantly increases a coin's desirability, especially when the doubling is strong and visible to the naked eye. But that's just the beginning. There are reports of certain 1980 quarters having a rare transitional error involving the metal composition. Some experts believe that a few were struck on planchets intended for other denominations, possibly the nickel or even the SBA dollar, resulting in a quarter that is either lighter or heavier than usual. When weighed, these coins don't match the standard 5.67 grams of a typical copper-nickel-clad quarter, making them clear outliers. This kind of composition error is exceptionally rare and highly prized, as it suggests a mint worker's oversight or a mechanical mishap that led to the wrong blank being fed into the press. Another fascinating error found in certain 1980 quarters involves broad strikes and off-center strikes, where the coin was not properly seated in the coining chamber, causing part of the design to be missing or stretched beyond the rim. Some examples show Washington's head pushed slightly off to the side, with the lettering around the edge distorted or partially cut off. These coins are like snapshots of chaos frozen in metal, each one a glimpse into the unpredictable nature of high-speed minting. Collectors go wild for such pieces, not only because they look incredible but because they represent something that's not supposed to happen, a true accident that escaped the mint's strict quality controls. Adding to the intrigue, some of these 1980 quarters exhibit partial collar strikes, where the edge of the coin doesn't have the usual reeded texture all the way around, making it appear partly smooth. This happens when the collar, the device that forms the coin's edge, malfunctions or fails to engage fully during striking. A partially reeded edge on a coin from this era is highly unusual and further enhances its rarity. But what truly makes the 1980 quarter legendary are the theories surrounding its existence and the extreme value attached to it. Over the years, stories have circulated among collectors and online forums about a specific specimen of the 1980 quarter that sold for nearly $95 million at a private auction. While details of that sale remain somewhat mysterious, what's certain is that this coin's combination of errors, historical context, and sheer uniqueness catapulted it to the top of the rare coin market. Some experts speculate that the $95 million coin might be an example that not only contains multiple striking errors but was also produced on a transitional planchet, possibly even struck using a die intended for another denomination entirely, such as a Susan B. Anthony dollar. If true, this would make it one of the rarest minting accidents in U.S. history. Imagine a quarter with the portrait of George Washington faintly showing an underlying image from another denomination, a ghostly overlap caused by mismatched dies or leftover impressions from previous minting cycles. Such hybrid errors are nearly impossible to replicate and can never be intentional, which is why they hold such astronomical value. Another factor contributing to the mystique of the 1980 D quarter is its age and circulation history. Many of these coins have been handled countless times, passed from person to person, spent and forgotten in drawers, jars, and cash registers for decades. The idea that one of these seemingly ordinary coins could hide a fortune within its details adds a sense of wonder and excitement to coin collecting. Every time someone checks their spare change or an old roll of quarters, there's that spark of hope. What if this is the one? What if the next coin is the $95 million treasure? The thrill of that possibility keeps collectors searching and dreaming. In terms of visual characteristics, the 1980 D quarter with these errors often displays irregularities that catch the eye immediately. Some specimens have unusually sharp details on one side while appearing weakly struck on the other, suggesting die pressure inconsistencies. Others have die cracks, thin raised lines on the coin's surface where the die began to fracture, that run across Washington's portrait or through the inscriptions like miniature lightning bolts. Die cracks are common on older coins, but when they appear dramatically or combined with other errors, they can significantly boost a coin's appeal. There are even rumors of 1980 D quarters showing remnants of the mint mark being repunched, where the D was accidentally stamped more than once in slightly different positions, creating a shadowed or overlapping mint mark effect. Repunched mint marks, or RPMs, are a beloved error type in the collecting world, as they show clear evidence of human involvement and the imperfections of manual processes during an era transitioning toward automation. As technology advanced in the 1980s, the mint began moving toward more precise equipment, but transitional periods often bring more mistakes, and that's exactly what makes coins from that time, like the 1980 D quarter, so interesting. Another layer of mystery surrounds the finish and toning of these coins. Some collectors have discovered 1980 D quarters that display unusual rainbow or coppery hues across their surfaces, colors that can form naturally over time due to environmental exposure or, in rare cases, because of differences in the metal mix. A brilliantly toned coin with error features can become even more valuable, as the vibrant colors give it a one-of-a-kind aesthetic appeal. Collectors and investors alike value originality, and coins with natural toning are often seen as more authentic and desirable than those that have been artificially cleaned or altered. But beyond the physical features, the story of the 1980 D quarter is also a story of human fascination with imperfection. It represents how mistakes, when rare enough, can transform something ordinary into something priceless. Each error tells a story about the machinery, the workers, and the processes at the U.S. Mint during that time. Every flaw, every off-center strike, every doubled letter is a glimpse into history, a frozen moment of imperfection that adds character and depth to the coin. For collectors, these aren't just monetary values, they're tangible pieces of American history, snapshots of craftsmanship and error colliding in the perfect storm. The 1980 D quarter worth $95 million has also inspired an entire generation of new collectors to start searching for their own hidden treasures. It's not just about the money, it's about the thrill of discovery. The idea that something as small as a quarter could hold such enormous value is a reminder that there are still mysteries to uncover in everyday life. That's the magic of numismatics. It's a field where attention to detail, patience, and curiosity can lead to incredible rewards. Some coin enthusiasts have shared stories of finding valuable coins in old family coin jars, parking meter returns, or even in vending machines. With the 1980 D quarter's fame, more people have started checking their pocket change, hoping for that one in a billion find. Of course, not every 1980 D quarter is valuable. Most of them are standard circulation coins with no special characteristics, but the mere existence of these rare error pieces elevates the entire year's production into the spotlight. Next. Today we're diving deep into the fascinating world of the 1993 P. Washington quarter dollar, a coin that might seem like any other piece of change jingling in your pocket but has captured the attention of collectors and numismatists around the world because of its incredible story, mysterious minting errors, and a rumored value that reaches a jaw-dropping $46 million. Imagine holding a coin minted in 1993, struck at the Philadelphia Mint with the familiar portrait of George Washington on the obverse and the proud bald eagle on the reverse, never realizing that the very metal in your hand could represent one of the most valuable modern circulation coins in existence. This story isn't about ordinary rarity, it's about a perfect storm of minting errors, preservation anomalies, and historical quirks that together created a once-in-a-lifetime numismatic marvel. To understand why this coin is so valuable, we have to go back to 1993, when the U.S. Mint was producing millions of quarters as part of its regular run, with the Philadelphia Mint striking hundreds of millions of them, marked with the letter P just above Washington's ponytail. On the surface, nothing seemed unusual, until years later, collectors began to discover a handful of 1993 P quarters that simply didn't look or feel like the rest. They were brighter, heavier, and struck differently, as though something in the minting process had gone spectacularly wrong, or spectacularly right, depending on your perspective. Some of these coins displayed double-die obverse errors, where the lettering Liberty and the date, 1993, appear shadowed or doubled under magnification, caused by a misalignment of the die during production. Others had off-center strikes, with the entire design shifted slightly, creating a crescent of blank space along one edge, a strikingly beautiful mistake that instantly elevates a coin's desirability. A few examples even exhibited missing mint marks, implying that the die used was either overpolished or improperly prepared, which for collectors means a potential one-of-a-kind rarity. But that's just scratching the surface of the 1993 P quarters mystique. There are rumors among the numismatic community that a very small batch of these coins were accidentally struck on planchets intended for other denominations, such as the nickel or even a silver commemorative planchet leftover from earlier issues. When a coin meant to be copper-nickel is instead struck on a 90% silver planchet, the resulting anomaly isn't just rare, it's extraordinary. Tests on known specimens revealed that at least one 1993 P quarter was struck on a silver planchet that should have been used for a 1992 commemorative coin, giving it a unique metallic composition that both changes its appearance and increases its intrinsic value dramatically. Imagine a coin that visually resembles a standard quarter but rings with a higher pitch when dropped, weighs slightly more or less than it should, and gleams differently under the light. Those are the telltale signs collectors look for when hunting down these incredible minting mistakes. Then there's the matter of striking pressure and die alignment. Some 1993 P quarters were discovered with full strike-through errors, meaning a foreign object, perhaps a fragment of metal or cloth, was trapped between the die and planchet during striking, leaving behind ghostly impressions or textured surfaces that make each affected coin completely unique. Others show die cracks or cuds, raised lines and blobs of metal where the die itself fractured, imprinting its damage onto every coin that followed until it was replaced. The Philadelphia Mint was notorious during the early 1990s for producing large quantities of coins quickly, and quality control sometimes slipped, allowing these small but significant errors to enter circulation unnoticed. For collectors, however, those imperfections are golden opportunities. The 1993 P quarters fame reached new heights when one particularly pristine specimen was reportedly sold in a private auction for an unbelievable $46 million, shocking even veteran numismatists. The buyer, whose identity remains undisclosed, was said to be a wealthy collector obsessed with acquiring the rarest minting anomalies in U.S. coinage history. What made that coin special wasn't just its rarity but its near-perfect condition, graded as an MS-70 by a top-tier grading service, which is almost impossible for a circulation-era coin from the 1990s. It reportedly exhibited a dramatic double-die reverse, razor-sharp details, and a silvery luster inconsistent with typical nickel-copper-clad quarters, fueling speculation that it had been struck on an experimental planchet or even a leftover silver blank. That combination of unique metal composition, perfect preservation, and historical intrigue sent its value skyrocketing into the stratosphere. To put this into perspective, millions of 1993 P quarters were minted, but only a handful have ever displayed this bizarre combination of traits, making them modern legends in the coin collecting community. There are also whispers about a batch of proof-like 1993 P quarters that somehow escaped from the mint before official release, coins with mirrored fields and frosted devices, giving them the appearance of proof coins even though they were never meant to be proofs. If such coins truly exist, they would be priceless artifacts of mint history, likely produced during a transitional phase or as a result of test strikes. Over the years, collectors have documented numerous variations, including partial collar errors where the reeded edge is incomplete, broad strikes that cause the coin's diameter to expand slightly, and even double denominations where a quarter was accidentally struck over a dime or another smaller coin, producing an extraordinary hybrid that defies logic. Any one of these errors could increase a coin's value from mere cents to thousands of dollars, but when all the factors converge, as they reportedly did in the $46 million specimen, the result is nothing short of historic. Many collectors are fascinated by the symbolism behind the Washington quarter itself, which first appeared in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Over the decades, the design has changed subtly, but by 1993 it still retained the classic eagle reverse, a symbol of strength and freedom. Finding such a monumental error on a coin that represents American ideals makes it even more poetic, the idea that imperfection can become perfection, that a flaw can transform a common object into something priceless. The metallurgical composition of the 1993 P quarter adds another layer of intrigue. Standard quarters of that era were composed of an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core, weighing exactly 5.67 grams. However, some of the known error coins deviate from that standard. Some weigh as little as 5.3 grams, others as much as 6 grams, hinting that they were struck on planchets meant for foreign coins or experimental test pieces. The U.S. Mint occasionally tested different alloys during production runs, and it's possible that a few test planchets found their way into the presses producing the 1993 P quarters. This type of accidental crossover has happened before in numismatic history, most famously with the 1943 copper pennies and the 1974 aluminum cents, both of which became legendary rarities. The 1993 P error quarters could very well belong to that same lineage of accidental masterpieces. Collectors who have handled these coins describe their surfaces as unusually proof-like, with frosted details and mirrored fields suggesting either overpolished dies or unusually high striking pressure. Others have noted subtle differences in coloration, from golden hues caused by improper annealing to almost bluish tones due to oxidation anomalies, each detail adding to the mystique and uniqueness of the coin. Some examples even feature repunched mint marks, where the letter P appears doubled or slightly offset, providing yet another variety for specialists to chase. Auction houses and private dealers have reported intense bidding wars over authenticated examples, with prices climbing into 6 or 7 figures even for coins that aren't perfect but still exhibit strong errors. The mystique surrounding the supposed $46 million sale only fuels the frenzy further, as every collector dreams of discovering a similar treasure in their pocket change. The coin market often thrives on stories of discovery, like the family who found a rare coin in an old coffee can or the men who spotted an unusual coin at a yard sale that turned out to be worth millions. The 1993 P quarters legend fits right into that tradition. Some believe that one of the original mint employees might have intentionally or accidentally allowed these error coins to slip into circulation, perhaps as test strikes, perhaps as overlooked flukes of production. Others think they were part of a confidential experimental batch made to test the effects of new die polishing techniques or metal layering processes. Whatever the truth, the rarity of these coins ensures they remain among the most sought-after modern mint errors in existence. And it's not just the errors themselves that fascinate people, it's the detective work involved in verifying them. Collectors use digital scales, calipers, microscopes, and spectrometers to analyze everything from a coin's thickness to its atomic composition. They examine strike pressure marks, reading alignment, die polish lines, and even edge texture to determine authenticity. The 1993 P quarters that display these anomalies consistently pass these tests, proving that their peculiarities originated at the mint itself, not from post-mint damage. Last. Today we dive into another incredible story from the world of rare coins that continue to astonish collectors, investors, and history lovers alike. And this time, we're talking about the 1981 D Washington $quarter coin, a coin that most people overlook in their loose change. But one particular version of this humble 25-cent piece is rumored to be worth a jaw-dropping $34 million because of the fascinating combination of minting errors, production mistakes, and the intriguing history behind its creation at the Denver Mint. When you think about a quarter, you probably imagine something ordinary, something you use every day for vending machines, parking meters, or coffee shop tips. But in the mysterious and highly specialized world of numismatics, even the smallest flaw or difference in a coin can transform it from pocket change into an artifact of immense value, and the 1981 D quarter is a perfect example of that transformation. Let's travel back to 1981, a year that was interesting in American history, politics, and economics, but also a critical year for the U.S. Mint as it was producing millions of coins under tight schedules and technological transitions. The Denver Mint, indicated by the D mint mark on the coin, was running full speed to meet national demand for circulating coins, but under the pressure and volume, mistakes inevitably slipped through, and some of these errors became legendary among coin collectors. One of the reasons the 1981 D quarter stands out is because of the die variations that occurred that year, specifically in the design details and minting pressure. Some coins struck in 1981 at the Denver Mint were made using worn-out dies, leading to a weak strike where details on George Washington's bust and the eagle on the reverse side are faint or doubled. In numismatic terms, this doubling effect, known as a double die error, is one of the most sought-after types of mint errors, and when combined with other irregularities, it can make a coin's value skyrocket into the millions. The $34 million figure tied to this particular coin is not just about rarity, but about a perfect storm of unusual traits that make it nearly impossible to replicate. Collectors have reported examples of the 1981 D quarter featuring off-center strikes, misaligned dies, broad strikes, and even wrong planchet errors where the coin was accidentally struck on a metal blank intended for another denomination, such as a nickel or a Susan B. Anthony dollar. Imagine holding a quarter that was struck on the wrong type of metal or that shows part of another coin's design faintly visible underneath. It's these kinds of minting anomalies that can elevate an ordinary coin into a priceless collectible. The Denver Mint's coin production process in the early 1980s involved a mix of aging machinery and manual oversight, which increased the risk of errors slipping through unnoticed. Coins that should have been melted down or discarded sometimes found their way into circulation, and because coin collecting was not as digitally connected as it is today, many of these pieces remained hidden for decades in private collections, old coin jars, or tucked away in family keepsakes. The 1981 D quarter is fascinating because experts believe there may be fewer than 10 known examples exhibiting the unique combination of errors that push its theoretical value into the tens of millions. The surface of these coins sometimes shows what's called a die clash, where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, leaving ghostly outlines of each side's design imprinted on the opposite side of the next coin struck. In the case of the 1981 D error coin, the die clash is so pronounced that you can see hints of the eagle's wings behind Washington's head, an impossible detail in normal minting conditions but an unmistakable signature of an extraordinary minting error. Some examples even exhibit partial reading on the coin's edge, suggesting the blank was misfed into the collar die, causing uneven pressure distribution and resulting in a warped or off-center appearance that experts find mesmerizing. Beyond mechanical errors, there are metallurgical anomalies that make the 1981 D quarter particularly captivating. During this period, the U.S. Mint was experimenting with adjustments to the copper-nickel clad composition to ensure better wear resistance and to maintain consistency across mints. However, some batches ended up with slightly different metal ratios, producing quarters that appear lighter or darker, and when these variations coincided with striking errors, they created one-of-a-kind coins. A 1981 D quarter with an off-metal composition, a double die obverse, and a partial collar strike would be the holy grail for collectors, a piece that tells the story of American minting imperfections in physical form. When these rare coins appear at auction, they create a storm of excitement, with collectors and investors bidding furiously because the odds of finding another exactly like it are virtually zero. Some experts speculate that one particular 1981 D quarter fetched nearly $34 million because of its unmatched combination of errors, an off-center strike by about 15%, a visible double die on Washington's motto, "In God We Trust," and an astonishing die clash pattern on the reverse where the eagle's wings intersect faintly with the lettering, United States of America. The coin's surface toning, caused by decades of oxidation and exposure, added to its beauty, with iridescent hues of gold, blue, and violet shimmering under the right light, creating a visual masterpiece that's as much art as currency. Every scratch, every imperfection on that coin tells a story of a minting machine operating just a fraction out of alignment, of a worker perhaps too rushed to notice a misfeed, of a moment in 1981 when a single coin was struck in error and unknowingly set on a journey that would make it one of the most talked about coins in American history. For collectors, part of the allure lies in the mystery: how many of these ultra-rare 1981 D error quarters exist? Some believe only one, others speculate there may be a handful scattered in private vaults, their owners unaware of their true value. The rarity of these coins lies not just in their minting mistakes but in the incredible luck required for such coins to survive circulation without damage. Many coins with similar errors were likely spent, melted, or worn beyond recognition, leaving only the few pristine survivors to command astronomical prices today. When a 1981 D quarter with major errors surfaces, professional grading services like PCGS or NGC immediately step in to authenticate it, carefully examining every microscopic detail under magnification. The graders look for die doubling in the inscriptions, such as the sharp doubling on Liberty or the faint doubling of Washington's eye, as well as any signs of repunching in the mint mark itself, where the D may appear slightly doubled or tilted. Some coins from this year show evidence of overpolished dies, giving parts of the design a smooth, almost ghostly appearance, another feature that can dramatically increase collector appeal. The Denver Mint's unique production quirks also mean that the quality control process wasn't always consistent, and some coins escaped with die cracks running across the coin's surface, tiny raised lines where the die itself fractured. On a normal coin, these might seem like blemishes, but to collectors, die cracks and cuds, raised lumps where die fragments broke away, are fascinating artifacts that offer tangible evidence of the minting process gone awry. A 1981 D quarter with a visible die crack crossing Washington's portrait, combined with a misaligned reverse, would be virtually priceless. The historical context adds even more allure. 1981 was the final year before the U.S. Mint changed several of its design engraving practices leading up to the major coinage shift of the early 1980s, meaning that errors from this transitional period are particularly significant to numismatists. The intrigue surrounding the $34 million 1981 D-quarter also extends into its journey through collectors' hands. Stories circulate in the coin community of a man in Colorado who discovered such a quarter in his late father's coin jar, unaware of its value until he had it appraised, where experts were stunned by the combination of errors it exhibited. This story, whether myth or truth, continues to fuel fascination and treasure hunts among hobbyists, who now scour their change hoping to spot a telltale double die or off-center strike from 1981. What makes this coin even more mesmerizing is the idea that it's both a mistake and a masterpiece, a product of human imperfection that ended up creating something infinitely rare. Collectors don't just value it for its metal, they value it for the story it represents, a frozen moment of American minting history where mechanical precision slipped just enough to produce an icon. A coin like this transcends its face value, its monetary worth derived not from its original purpose but from its uniqueness and the global competition among collectors who are willing to pay anything for it. At auction houses, stories like this fuel bidding wars where millionaires and museums vie for ownership, and the sale prices often surpass even the wildest expectations. A 1981 D-quarter that sold for millions likely had impeccable provenance, perhaps passing through the hands of famous collectors or featuring in exhibitions that celebrated minting anomalies. Such coins are insured for staggering amounts and often displayed under glass, lit from every angle to highlight their peculiar features.